All right. Well, if you're joining us, what a stressful 11 minutes I just had here. We are doing this live show, which means things happen when you try to go live. It was interesting. I was thinking about this about 20 minutes ago. I was actually thinking, what would happen if we lost internet? What would we do at that point? And then right at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we lost internet. It just dropped. About 30 seconds into the intro part of this show, we lost everything. So I started thinking, well, do I use my cell phone? What do we do? And so, yeah, I'm just going to let my blood pressure drop here for just a moment, and thankful for internet. It's funny. Everybody in the world is working from home. So are we, and trying to run and do this. And these kind of things happen. The church that I go to, 2 weeks ago, I was helping with in the worship, and the soundboard just died. I mean, just stopped. And so I guess maybe as we get started today, first of all, thanks for being patient, for logging on and being a part of this show. If you, whichever channel you're watching us on, if you want to leave us a comment on here, just tell us where you're watching from, say hey, whatever. If you got some questions you're going to want addressed, put those in the comments. Just let me know who it is and where you are and who's watching on it. But as you're doing that, I think this is a great lesson that it is important for us to create systems and redundancy and whatever we can to anticipate, to be aware of problems before they, could potentially happen. And so I don't know what I could do on this one. We just completely lost internet. I guess I could try to stream the show from my phone. I don't know if that would even work. I'll test that at some other point. But it is one of those things where when you're trying to, let's say, create ads where you want this to go live right away, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it takes a while for it to be reviewed. And so working ahead, being forewarned, we would say in the military, is forearmed. Being aware of these things and being aware of some of these challenges that could happen. It is one of the realities is that in technical stuff that happens, it seems like that our adversary, that the devil, works really, really hard at times to just try to thwart what we're trying to do. And so just be patient, understand that God is over these things, that Jesus is Lord of all, including technical things. And so we just try to do our best to be on top of those things when it comes to creating the media, to running the ads, to any of those kind of things. Inevitably, something will happen. And so then at that point, well then, you're just going to have to do the best you can and be like a duck, I guess, and let water. Now, I know it's stressful because I think my heart rate now, I'm checking my Apple Watch. Yeah, it's finally dropped, but what a crazy few minutes on there. And I guess that's a great way to introduce where we are today of this Christian media marketing show. Thank you for being on it. Would love to know where you're watching from. Any kind of comments, any thumbs up, whatever else, we'll be seeing those showing up on here, Lord willing. And so we're going to start today. Today we're going to be looking at the Facebook Ads Manager. We're going to look at what do you do once you've created the ad. How do you see whether or not it's working, how well it's performing to do what your objective was. But before we get to that, there's going to be some questions that pop up and that have been asked of me, and I'd like to talk to those questions when people are sending those to me during the week, specifically when they relate to Christian media marketing. So the first one that came in was just simply this: do you need to adjust for language variations when you're making an ad? And so the answer to that is it depends on which social media channel that you're using. If you're using Facebook, then no, you don't have to do that. It automatically translates. Now, the challenge of that is if you're working in a certain country and you're wanting to use a certain wording or a phrase or maybe a certain way that a certain group might say the name of Jesus, you just got to trust that Facebook's going to get it right. And so we don't have the ability to get that granular with language. You do have the ability to change what language they are using Facebook in. So if you're trying to reach, let's say, for example, if you're trying to reach a diaspora group in maybe the US or Europe, you can use, then when you're creating the ad, language there to say, I only want this ad to go to people who are maybe using Arabic or French or whatever, Italian, whatever language you might be trying to run your ads in. So if they're using Facebook in that language, then those ads would show up there. Now, if you're doing Google ads or YouTube ads, then yes, language varies greatly. I've also found that there's not always the same language options that you have as well as you have in Facebook. But within Google, when you're doing keywords and language targeting there, then you do need to pick the exact word, phrase, similar ones, and that's going to help you on just the performance of your Google ads or your YouTube ads. So great question. Hopefully that helps on that one. Here's the next one that I got, and that is, all right, I installed our Pixel, but it's not showing up when we're creating the ad. Help. Okay, so I have helped, but I am going to answer that as well in this show to tell you what could be going on. When you install the Facebook Pixel, one of the things that's changing is that Facebook is wanting to make sure that the people running the ads, the people who are managing the pages, are who they say they are. They want to make sure that it's not a terrorist group or a nation state or some sort of bad actor in that sense. And so there's the verification part that's been going on. There's also this issue of the Facebook Pixel being blocked in iOS 14.5, and you maybe have seen on the news the pretty public spat that Apple and Facebook have going back and forth with each other. Well, it's not just Apple, because there's a lot of changes to Pixels and the ability to with cookies, which is in essence what we're talking about, to be able to continue to see those and to see those being tracked from first person, from where the site that was on, to other third person places. So one of the things that's changing is that you're needing to verify your domain. So if you go to your website and it shows that your Pixel is installed, but then you go to run the ad and it's saying that it's not working or it's not showing up. I've seen this personally in several accounts real recently. Then you need to go in and you're going to need to verify your domain. Now, to answer how to do that is going to take longer than what I can do right here on the show. Let me tell you this is not some sort of an ad. It's not why I'm doing this. But on our podcast, the Christian Media Marketing Podcast, we're on episode 87 or so of that. It comes out every week. It was last week or the week before, I forget. I think it was last week. The whole show is just specifically about this, about how to verify your domain. Basically, though, real short answer is go in business.facebook.com, go into your business settings, and then brand safety. And when you click on that, it's going to be on the left side of your column. When you click on brand safety, then there's going to be a place where you can verify your domain. All right. And for most of you, that's going to fix this issue. And it did on this one as well. So it was that issue of needing to verify their domain. And there's 3 different ways you can do that, and it will walk you through. And so if you can upload a file or you can change and put a little bit of code in the header, what Facebook needs to see is that you have access to the website, that you actually own it. Okay, and that's all they're doing there. And then your Pixel will work great. All right, so that's another one. That was a big one. And in fact, if you have not done that, even if you're not having issues, you probably want to go ahead and verify your domain. Last question before we get into some of the training today. Remember, if you're having questions or comments, put them in on whatever channel you're on there, all right? So there's the Kavanaugh Media ones, Facebook, YouTube. There's GMPI, who is sponsoring this show, who have it going on their YouTube channel and their Facebook page as well. I really appreciate them. They are great people. They have a heart for the kingdom. And I love that their heart is for what we're trying to do, which is to help churches and to help mission teams be able to make Jesus famous. And so here is the final question that came up this week. Can't we just do groups and organic content? Why do we need to run ads? That is a great question. And it is one that I think we really need to address because that's what this show is about. This is about marketing. Yes, there's organic, which means non-paid types of marketing, and those are great anytime that people are sharing your ads or your post. That's not costing you anything. That's a fantastic thing because then that message is going out to their oikos, to their relationship network. And so that's great. That we would love to see that happen. The reality is, though, that in the social media channels, most of them are a pay-to-play environment anymore. So if you really want to make sure that the people that you want to see the message or to see the ad or to see the media, that you want them to see that, then you're going to need to pay to make sure that the ad, that content is going out to the right people. Okay, and so it used to be able to do that. Plus, there's the issue of security. So for those of you who are overseas, maybe working in places where there's a lot of security risks, grouping people together that don't know each other and just doing groups like that seems like that is a little bit of a scary thing. And one of the principles that we at Kavanaugh Media really work by is that the field determines their security stuff. So if you're comfortable, okay, but it could be when you're introducing people into it, just make sure that you're moderating and being careful there. Here's the biggest thing, though, is that we're talking about billions of people in this world, and there are hundreds of millions who have never heard about Jesus. Hundreds of millions of people. I was in a very large Asian country a few years ago among a people group that did not, maybe still doesn't, have the Bible in their language. And as I walked around with a video camera and I was shooting and documenting, I was sharing with them in the local language, in the group, the country language that I speak, and I would ask them and talk to them about Jesus. And they would not say, "Who is that?" They would say, "What is that?" They literally had never heard the name of Jesus. They never had heard his name. They didn't have a clue who he was or who God was. And so I watched that day as they took chickens and they cut the necks and they took the blood and they sacrificed that blood to trees. And they didn't realize that Christ's blood had already been shed for them. And you take that people group completely unreached and you multiply that by thousands of other groups that are out there, by millions and millions of other people. And you might think, well, we're a church. We're here in Europe or Australia or in the United States or wherever. And, everybody's heard the name of Jesus. And that's just not true. They maybe hear the name, but do they know him? Do they know the hope that's there? And so why do we run ads? Because they can work 24/7. Because as you'll see, we can see specifically the results of how many people are seeing, and we are giving people a chance to be able to hear about the one who loves them and who died for them and who rose again for them. And so if this is an issue of cost or it's just too technical or, I just don't really like media, then okay. All right, may the Lord bless whatever it is that you want to do. I am in no way trying to say that this is the only way. I'm in no way trying to say that we have all of the answers. I'm in no way saying that you have to run Facebook ads or you don't love Jesus or whatever else. I'm not saying that. But I don't know of another way right now, in the world that we live in right now, to lift up the name of Jesus to millions of people in a way where we can actually see what's happening. I heard Mike Schrage, who is the president of GMPI, several years ago, and he was speaking and talked about, and it stuck with me, that this is potentially the greatest time since the beginning of the church, of the Pax Romana, of that Roman peace, of the Greek language, of the opportunity for the gospel to spread. There may not be a greater time in history than right now to be able to leverage media. And so there are some great groups and ministries that are out there. Groups like GMPI, Jesus Film, Lumo, Share the Story, and others There are mission organizations, there are groups, there are churches, there's whole denominations, there's Bible colleges, and they're all working to try to make Jesus famous. And here's some of the ways that you can do that. And that's what this show is about. All right. And so can we just do groups? Can we just do organic? Yeah, you can. And that may work for you, but the ability, the reach is limited. When you put money behind it, when you use targeted ads, you can get the message out in a scope and in a scale that is just mind-boggling to me. And so I believe we have a responsibility to use every possible means to let the world know about who Jesus is. So I hope that answers some of those questions. I hope if you have other questions as this is going on today, please feel free to put them in the comments and reach out to us. We're going to dive into some specific training. All right. So we have created your business account. We have created your page. You have installed the Pixel. And last week we talked about running your very first ad. Now, is the ad working? When you've done that, can you look at it and go, all right, this is doing what we want. This is a good ad, or this is a mediocre ad, or we need to stop this thing. All right. So the only way to know that is to look at the metrics. That's why I like being able to do these, is because I can see exactly how many people have seen the ad, how many people have clicked on it or watched a video or did something. I love that data because it tells us how to iterate, how to test, and how to move forward. So in the training, we're going to look at your ads manager. And you're going to want to go to business.facebook.com, open up Ads Manager. I'll explain that here in just a second. And in there, you will see, that's where you went to create the ad. Now in there, you can see how the ad is doing. So let's dive into the training. We're going to look at that. And then if you have any questions, we'll address those at the end of this training video. Here we go. All right, let's dive into looking to see how your Facebook ads are doing. It's one thing to set it up right. Now we want to see how are they doing in accomplishing what your objective is. So what you're going to want to do is go to business.facebook.com, and then in the top left corner, you're going to see those 9 dots. We would click on those and go to Ads Manager. Go to Ads Manager, and the screen's going to look like this screen right here. Now I want you to look at several things as we are getting into this. First of all, in the top right, you're going to have a calendar. And so when you click on that calendar, it can show you last 30 days, lifetime, just today. There's a lot of different timing elements that come into this. And so if you've started a new campaign and you just want to look at that, you could pick the time frame that it's been going on. Right now we're set to the last 30 days. There's also this button here which refreshes your data. So if you've gone away from this screen and then come back, you can press this and it will just update with the most recent information. Going across here, you have your campaign, then your ad set, and then your ads. You also, if you have more than one account, can click up in the top left, which will show you the name of that account. Now, obviously, I'm going to blur out a portion of the information that you're seeing here, but I will explain what it is and where it's at. If you have different types, or if you're looking for certain types of information, first of all, you can search for it. So you can look for campaigns that are active or that have quit. You can look by different types of objectives. So let's say maybe it's video views or messages. You can choose those. You can choose by placement, whether it's mobile, desktop, a lot of different things that you can look at here. You can look even by audience to see their age, their location. So there's a lot of ways to parse this data to really better understand what's happening in your campaign. So we're just going to leave that as it is right now. It's going to have both active and ads that are scheduled as well as completed here throughout your whole ad library of campaigns that you have. As we're moving across here, the attribution setting is the way that Facebook can look to see when you've done something, like you've put an ad out there and a person has clicked on it, whether or not it was that ad that caused them to, let's say, go to your website or to send you a message. And so they have just changed the attribution setting to now 7-day click or 1-day view. It used to be 28 days, which if you're watching this and you've had some ads running for quite a while on an ongoing basis, you may find that it has been paused or it's not showing any results. That's maybe because of this attribution setting changing. Don't worry, you can easily go into this, restart them. What it will mean is that some of your results that you're going to see in this column may seem smaller because the window of time of when they clicked on the ad and then maybe did something was outside of that attribution setting. The key, though, is they are doing things. So you can see when a person has clicked on a send message button or maybe downloaded a Bible. That's why Google Analytics is a great tool, because it can help you see what's happening on your site as well. So moving from left to right here, we have our results, which is your objective, what you were wanting to accomplish. So for example, on this one, the objective was through plays, which is 15 seconds or longer of a video in the Facebook ad. On this one, it would have been landing page views. And on this one, it would be messaging conversations. So a person clicking on Facebook Messenger. So you can see just your overall results based upon your objective. Remember, you can only pick one objective per ad campaign. So even though you may want multiple things to happen, only one thing, your main objective, will show up right here. Your reach is how many unique individuals have seen this ad. And this is important because even though you may have a lot of people that the ads have been shown to, let's say it was, for example, this ad, 6,780 people, unique individuals, saw the ad. Well, if that means, because the frequency is only 1, that the ad's total impressions were also right around that same amount. But if the impressions were 13,000, and the reach was this 6,700, then your frequency would be 2. This is a really important point that I want to make sure that you get, is that your frequency is one of the most important metrics that I look at when I'm running ads. If the frequency is low, like 1 or 2, then I do not worry about an ad fatigue, about people seeing your ad and being tired of seeing it, of hiding it, which means that this ad has a lot of life left in it. It can run for a lot longer. So when you're creating your ads, you may think, I just want it to run for 1 week. And that might be true if it's a specific event that you're doing. But if it's an ongoing messaging, just trying to top of funnel general awareness about your ministry or about a certain subject, well then let it run. Create the ad to just be ongoing and then just watch your frequency. And you can even set up different types of rules that will alert you when your frequency gets to a certain point, like 4 or 5. It does not mean that you have to turn the ads off at that point. It just means you need to be aware that your results may decrease and your cost per result may increase. So right now in this ad that's just been running for just a little bit of time, the frequency is extremely low. 6,700 people have seen it. 3,000 of those 6,700 have watched at least 15 seconds, and it is costing 0.001 to get someone to watch at least 15 seconds or more, and we're spending $2 a day on the budget. All right, so this has just been running for not quite 2 days. So moving across the screen here, this is how many times the ad is shown 1,000 times, so 1,000 impressions, what it's costing. This goes back to the cost per click, which is something in Google Ads that we look at. On here, this is a metric that's interesting, but not one of the important ones. The important ones for me are what's our overall results, how many people are seeing the ad, what is the average amount of time that the user, how many frequency, how many times they've seen the ad, what's it costing. Those are really important ones when I go through these. Then this is link clicks and cost per link click, and then the link click through. These to me are the other really important metrics. depending upon what your objective is, if the objective is link clicks, if you're trying to get people to click through to go to your evangelistic site or your church website, wherever, then you're looking at how many people have clicked on that link to go to that site. Or it could be clicking on other links that are in your ad, or just to click on it to make it larger. The key here is on these traffic objectives, where we're trying to get people to click on a link to go to your website, what's it costing? And then what's the percentage? How many of them are clicking and going through to your website? So you see on this one, it is 7.2%. That's fantastic. Honestly, if I can find anything that's between 1 to 2%, the closer to 2% the better, then I consider it a pretty good ad. It's not doing bad. When you find ones that are 5%, 4%, 7%, those are really, really good ads. And so it's going to be important to look at the messaging and the targeting, and over time, try to figure out why do certain ads do better than other ones. This is any kind of clicks. So this could be clicks on the ad itself or to make it bigger. Those are not as important to me. And this CTR, the overall click, link through ones, the percentage of times that people saw your ad and clicked on it, this one is not important to me, the CPC all, as this one is, the link click-through. All right, so you would want to know your CTR, your link click-through rate, and how much is it costing. So that's this basic screen. One of the buttons I want to make sure that you are aware of is right here. This is your columns, and it gives you many different options. We're on performance and clicks, which is one of the places that you will go to a lot. You will also potentially go to video engagement and messaging engagement. Let's look at each of those. So if I click on video engagement, now for the ads that were using videos, and the objective there were through plays, all of a sudden now I can see what was happening on that ad. So still the impressions was 6,970. We know that it was 6,700 and some was the reach, how many unique individuals. And now it begins to tell us how many 2 seconds, how many 3 seconds, how many 10-second views there were of that total group of people. You also then get through to the through plays, 15 seconds or more. So out of 6,780 people, 3,239 watched 10 seconds, 3,013 watched at least 15 seconds. And now we can begin to see the percentages of that as well. So at 25%, 8%, 7%, or 75% is 7 here, 50% is 8. And the key here as you're going through these is to determine how long is the video. So how long is it? That will determine these percentages. If it's a really long video, then 75% could be 2 or 3 minutes of a video. If the total video is only 30 seconds, then 75% of that would be 20 some seconds that comes into it. You can then create audiences based upon how long they've watched a video. Pretty interesting way to be able to retarget people. So this one's just started. I believe that this is a longer video, which is why you're seeing these lower amounts right here. Just as a side note on that, I don't recommend putting really long videos on Facebook because people don't go on there to watch long form video. So think of your videos on Facebook more as just a hook or as a teaser, kind of like you might see a trailer for a movie, to get them to watch more to go to your website, or you could also let them know that you have other places, such as a YouTube channel. So if it's your whole sermon or a very long outreach video that you're doing, don't be surprised if these numbers here aren't really large. Right? The other one could be when you click over here on your messaging engagement. So this has the objective of private messages, of direct messages, and what you can see then is the ads running, how many times it's been shown, how many times people are clicking on the link there, which the link would be send message on the ad, and then you can see how many conversations were started, how many replies back and forth, how many times that the person was blocked, say they're hostile or angry, and you could see total then, how many new messaging connections are taking place in your account. You can also see just what is the cost. Remember, that was the overall part of what you were seeing in that performance and clicks aspect. Now, this is just the generic setup right now, so it's got purchase conversions and information more for business, which you can get rid of those and you can remove those by coming in here and going down to custom. And then when you click on customize columns, you can pick lots of different options to what you want to show or what you want to actually look at. All right. And so there's a lot of that you can look at in this process. All right. So on this one right here, we're seeing that there were a lot of messages, a lot of replies that were going back and forth, not a lot of messages being blocked. And so a lot of interesting first steps and spiritual steps of conversations for people. So this is where you go to check out how your ad is doing. There's a lot of buttons. There's a lot here, all right, that we could be looking at. Here's one other one. This is engagement. So this will show you how many people reacted to the post, how many comments on the post, how many times it's been shared. So all of that is giving you a better idea of just what is happening with your ad. How many people are watching it, clicking on it, sending you messages, and how much it's costing you. So remember, look at your reach, look at your link click-through, look at your frequency to make sure that it's not getting really high, and all of that will allow you to get a better understanding of just how well or poorly your ad sets are doing. One final thing, as you go through this, there are other columns and buttons that I want you to see. So you can look at these and click on these. Don't be afraid to just press on buttons. You'll also notice that as you go down to the ad level, it will begin to show you even other types of information in those as well. And so don't be afraid to just press on buttons and really explore this. We'll do more videos really diving into this more in a detailed way later, but I wanted to give you an overview today of Ads Manager within Facebook. Now, Google has one themselves for their Google Ads, and we'll look at that in a few weeks as well. All right. Well, I know there's a lot to that. Okay. I know there was a lot of information there. There was a question that came up from Luke. And so Luke just said, hey, I'm seeing different columns showing up in my Ads Manager. Imagine we can change what columns are showing up. You bet, Luke. You can that's where you can do the custom one is one place. Also, sometimes Facebook just shows different things to different people. And so you may just want to hit refresh on that, and just some of the times the screens just look different. And they roll out new software to certain people at different times. Another question here that Luke had as well was on video engagement. What's the difference between the number of through plays and the video plays at 100%? So through plays is going to be 15 seconds or more. And so your through plays should be a lot more than your video plays at 100%. So 100% is those who have literally watched every second of that ad video. This is not the content that's on your landing pages, but the ones on your ads. So you're definitely going to see through plays. 2 seconds will be the highest, and then it's just going to go down from there. If you're seeing a really large number at, say, the 95%, then I usually assume they've watched the whole thing or pretty much the whole video at that point. Those are, because of their activity, their actions, they've shown that they're really interested. And now you can create a custom audience of people who have done certain things and be able to send another ad to them. So when you hear the term retargeting, that's what I'm talking about. And that's what actually next week's live training is going to be about, is how to do these different types of custom audiences and lookalike audiences. So we will use videos as one of the ones that we use to build those out. And it can really, really impact your effectiveness of your ads when you do that. All right. I want to just let you know about the podcast as well. And it is, it's asynchronous, so you can listen to it anytime you want. It comes out, there's a new episode every Friday, 1:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when it goes out on Apple, on Spotify, FM, whatever channel you want to use. It's available. Also, these YouTube channels, GMPI has a lot of other great content on their site. On our Kavanaugh one, we're just getting started on there, but we'll be putting more material. We also have a lot of other courses just on our Kavanaugh Media site. And so I just ask that you would subscribe, that you'll like the stuff that we do. That way these social media channels promote what it is that we're doing. It's just a way for us to be able to get more people to hear about it. And I really do appreciate when you tell other people about either the podcast or this live training show. Obviously, it's being recorded, so it's going to go on those YouTube channels as well as our Kavanaugh Media site. So if you're not watching this live or you don't want to put your name out, no worries. Send us messages. We'll try to put those questions on the show and help in any way we can. More than anything else, just keep pushing forward. Okay, as we've seen today, there's technical things that happen, there's challenges, there's stuff that's changing all the time, but if you'll just trust God and push forward, then I pray that He will bless your efforts. If we can ever help you, and if there's questions that you have, or if you need people to give you coaching, or if you just need somebody to run the ads for you, we would love to be able to help you to be able to do any of those things. Whatever we can do to help you to make Jesus famous, then that's what we want to be about. So we hope, Lord willing, and that our internet holds, to see you all next Tuesday, 10 a.m. again, and we're going to look at audience creations. That really helps a lot in your ads and on your retargeting. So we're going to look at that, and maybe we'll see you on the podcast as well this week. Until next time, take care. God bless. We appreciate you all greatly. Take care. Bye-bye.